Or do you guys know the comedian Sebastian Maniscalco?
No.
One time I went to a comedy club with somebody, and we were just kind of like watching whoever's up. And like especially in LA, you'll get a mix. Any night you'll get a mix of like randos. I mean, I've seen some like crazy
and some heavy hitters.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Sebastian Maniscalco. I've been to some nights where you just see like somebody, basically an amateur, just like brutal. And then they're just like getting no laughs. And they're like, oh, okay, well, kind of cutting it early. And then the guy gets up and he's like, next man needs no introduction. Dave Chappelle. It just like, it's like that kind of vibe. And you're just like, ooh, God, I feel bad for that other person. But whatever, maybe that's how you learn. So anyway, this night at this comedy club, it was like in a small room, and I don't know who's who. Of course, I know the really big names, but so this guy, Sebastian Maniscalco, is on stage. And I'm listening to this guy, and he's like pretty down the middle observational humor, but like a talented comedian. I'm not trying to knock him, but the guy I was with is kind of like, this is one of the most successful comedians in America. And I was like, are you kidding? I've never heard of this guy. And they're like, yeah, that's his thing. He's not like one of these, like, I guess he is very famous, but he's not like one of these New York, LA, like super hip, relevant comedians. He's a guy who has an act you can bring the whole family to, observational, simple. He's never, I guess, had a TV show or anything like that. And he just diligently tours and probably makes millions and millions of dollars a year. And he just like does his thing.
Brian Regan.
Yeah. I'm not sure who that is, but that kind of vibe.
Well, I think, similar vibe.
After that, I was interested in him. So I started looking up his bits, and I see like on YouTube, he has certain bits that are, have millions and millions of views. And I'm like, okay. And then I kind of realized like, oh, this is what this guy does. It's not that different than, say, Jerry Seinfeld, where it's observational humor. So, but with him, he's funny. So he'll like just kind of pick on a topic. He'll just like pick these like big topics that other comedians maybe would find too basic or something. But he just like picks one and digs in. And one of the most viewed ones is about Chipotle.
Oh God, I want to watch this now.
I actually don't know if in the comedy circle, me saying that I find this guy funny is like the equivalent of just like
some eye rolls.
Eye rolls. But look,
like a friend is just like, dude, you know what, man? Matchbox 20. People slept on them.
It might be like that, but
Nickelback
but he is, he is good. His thing is that he's Italian American, so he talks a lot about being Italian, and he really like plays into it with his accent. I think maybe he's from Chicago. So he does this whole bit about Chipotle, and this is just already the kind of dumb shit I find funny. The whole time he just always refers to it as Chipotle. It's like 6 minutes, just like, everybody's going to Chipotle now. Everybody's talking about Chipotle. That kind of just like stretching it out, making such a meal of it. And this, one way of looking at this would be like it's basic. Another way of looking at it would be like that's just a good comedian. Is that then he just describes what it's like to go to Chipotle in detail, and he's just funny. So he just makes it fun. Like I bet if you look back and you compared it to like the best of the best, like Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, you'd be like, no joke of his hit the same high points as them. But then another part of my brain is like, I just listened to this guy talk about Chipotle for 6 minutes. Like he's like, and then you go to Chipotle and they say, what do you want? I don't know. I never been to Chipotle. It's like the jokes are like that. And then you always got the guy in front of you. He's reaching his arm over saying, I want the pinto beans. He's reaching his arm over the glass that's supposed to protect you. You look at the guy, you're like, don't do that. Don't reach your arm over the glass. Just say you want your pinto beans and move over. This is Chipotle. God. But it's like, I'm actually pretty down with it. And then just like you going through, then you move over.
Just describing
it slowly in detail. But he's funny. So, and I'm kind of like picturing like, you know what? I'll take my family to see this dude. This dude's funny as I just appreciate that. And then he's like, and then you move over to the next guy. And it's like, who's this guy? Now I got to give you a whole new order? Who's this guy? Now this guy want to know what kind of meat I want? 1 minute, I'm talking about beans and rice. The next minute, we're talking about meat. Couldn't the same... It's like, that's the vibe. I remember, it's God. Like, then you get to this guy, and then you got this guy, the guy who's in charge of wrapping the burrito. He gets this big plate. This thing is piled to the ceiling with beans and rice and cheese and chicken. And this guy's looking at this like, oh boy, I'm going to have to wrap this into a burrito. And this guy's wrapping the burrito. It's just like, I haven't watched it in like a year, but clearly it made a big impression on me. But anyway, I guess that's why Chipotle was so bemusing to people, is just because the ordering process was slightly different. And I'm not dissing him. I think he accurately picked up on the fact that America was bemused by Chipotle. Because you couldn't even do that. Maybe when McDonald's first came out in the 60s, you could have done a whole bit.
Oh, I bet there's...
So I pull up to the drive-in. There's no drive-in anymore.
You walk in.
They say, park your car and walk in. I'm like, well, you can't come out. Where's the girl on the roller skates? Well, you tell me I got to get Adam. Like, you can...
Now I'm standing in line?
Now I'm standing in line waiting. I look over the counter. The burgers are already made. I didn't even order one yet. And the burgers are already made? How long has this thing been sitting out? Then I eat it. Tastes pretty fresh.
I like that type of humor.